Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a review for Batman the Caped Crusader. I am the Clown Prince of Podcast, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Kirkland Patzer.
Still, he's
It
every
still
cast
works.
now.
It's
It
very
still
fitting.
works. No, it's good. At any time for the Batman, that works. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to review Batman the Cape Crusader. A little late because we did a 9-hour stream the other day. Go check that out. Lots of those podcasts and everything going to be on the feeds the next coming weeks. Just got to edit them. But a big thank you for being able to check those out. And on the feeds right now, me and the wrestling guys just reviewed SummerSlam, and then we just reviewed the House of Dragon season 2 finale. So lots of three big reviews happening in a span of 24 hours, but that's what we do here at GeekVerse. But this is one that's very, at least for myself, anticipated. I think this was anticipated once Kirkland saw that trailer. I would agree.
Oh
right?
yeah,
That's,
100%.
because we never announced it. We wanted to. We ran out of time. And not that it's a sequel, but we wanted to do a similar thing of watching the original Batman animated series before this. But once it was confirmed that this and 97 or X-Men 97 were the same year, it's okay. We'll choose one or the other, and X-Men happened, and then that's just life, right? So I think at some point in the future we will do that. I'm hoping. Who knows? Maybe 2026 when the Batman comes out. That might be a good time to dip our toes in some Bat universe stuff. But so one day, but. Luckily, it ended up being not so much like a sequel, just a spiritual successor. So it's not like you had to watch anything or whatnot. So you can go in this cold. We're going to give our overall thoughts, non-spoiler reviews, and then we'll get into spoilers. We're going to kind of go episode by episode, not a full breakdown every episode, but just kind of use that as our guide because the show is like, it's like it's a procedural in a way where it's always like a new crime, new villain, but there's still like some through line through the show. So that's where we'll kind of use that as we're going along. But yeah, this show, I'd have to look. I think it was announced the same year the Batman came out, I think 2 years ago, because I think they announced Matt Reeves was the producer, and obviously JJ. One of the only things JJ helped executive produced over there at his time at Warner Brothers. But yeah, this has been a long time in the making. Lots of Batman fans excited. So Kirkland, I'm going to start with you as far as you didn't see the Batman animated series. So I know we've probably talked about other Batman, like a Lego Batman, this and that, but this is like a more serious take of set in the 40s, a very detective style, kind of very noir type. It's not black and white, but may as well be. At times it has that feel, very different style. So what was your thoughts on all episodes, the entire season 1 of Caped Crusader?
Yeah, I got some decent history with Batman.
Oh, okay.
Like just mostly the movies, I guess.
Talking too
and
much?
I did a cast with them actually. Did the Game of Thrones or the
Yeah.
House of the Dragon finale.
I almost had him on this one. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Oh, by the way, before we continue, I have to answer the cliffhanger that we gave the House of Dragon fans.
Oh yes,
So,
Taylor's reasoning.
So Taylor was originally going to be on this, and this is why I gave up on him because he's also very busy. The 2012 Golden Geeks be able to choose things. But anyway, so we're at the beach today. Kirkland's going to make because he's working on his house. So Taylor's talking to me. He's like, "Oh, have you? I don't know what it's called, but something gentlemen. You've seen that movie preview with Henry Cavill and Alan Rickman. It's like or Richmond. It's like a bunch of jacked guys, and they're on it like it's a spy Guy Ritchie movie in a way or anything like." I think you'd see it, but anyway, so it came out earlier this year, and it's on Amazon. And because I've been watching, I don't know, maybe because Batman Cape Crusader, they kept previewing, and other times it was Amazon, kept previewing like, "Oh, this movie's coming out this week, this Friday on Amazon." So it's like, "Oh, have you seen, this movie, whatever, The Gentleman?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I haven't. Where were you been watching that?" And he's like, "Oh, just I think it's on Amazon or something like that." "Oh, so why aren't you watching the Batman?" Like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get to it." So literally this morning he threw on a movie on Amazon that just premiered and not the Batman. So I was like, I don't trust when this guy's gonna
That would
be
have been
done.
similar runtime too to like the whole show, I'm sure.
Well,
like,
no,
it would
this
have been
is
at
4
least
hours.
half. Well,
It would have been
okay,
half.
would've
Yeah,
been at least half.
Literally, when you say it that way, it's just 2 movies. It's an easy watch, but like just that because I don't think he knew that I knew it was on Amazon, but I had seen many ads saying this movie's coming to Amazon on Fridays. So I was like, I can't trust this man to make it. So maybe we'll hear his thoughts in the future. But
Yeah,
bastard.
got him.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. but yeah, I got some history with Batman, mostly like the movies when I was younger, and then like I probably had seen like an episode or two of the animated series Batman. Definitely Batman Beyond. I remember watching just because that outfit's like very
Hell
iconic.
yeah.
And then of course like some Justice League episodes. But like back then, I never really watched it like week to week to like follow a story. It's just like whatever would be on, I would watch the adventure for that week. So this would have been the first time I actually experienced like a series, I guess, with just Batman. And yeah, as you kind of laid out, like I think I had some interest, especially just coming off of like the Battinson movie with Matt Reeves, then knowing that he's a executive producer on this one, would have got me somewhat excited, but I didn't really have like a lot of nostalgia for it. But that
Yeah.
trailer, man, that trailer was just so well made, and yeah, definitely got me hyped. And this show, man, holy shit, what an adventure this was. I think this is just like such a fantastic Batman story to even just start like your Batman adventure. Like it shows a lot of like kind of origin stuff. With Bruce Wayne, like you got the classic flashback you get with almost every Batman story, but
Yeah.
it's not like that is the story. It's just like that this this big cloud that sticks with him, which is a big character moment, so it makes sense why they would have had it there. But even just introducing certain characters, it was cool to have some characters already kind of have a presence in the universe that was felt, but then also there is other ones that this is like their inception into that world and the origin of it. And I feel like something the show does so well is make Gotham really feel like the villain, like the city itself. There's not really any one villain that is like, okay, that's the main boss of this
Yeah.
show. It's just the threat of what Gotham is and the corruption, and there's a lot of like goons and just like mob boss type threats that are felt throughout this, but they still feel dangerous. They still feel like they have a major grip on the city, and like Batman can't just solve that problem. And I feel like that is the way that they pulled that off was just so impressive to me, because I feel like because I've gone through my live action Batman adventures and some comic runs that we went through with comic book versions. Hopefully return to that soon at some point when our schedule clears up. But
This got you juicing for some Batman comics?
absolutely now.
Yeah,
I
man, yeah.
and like just paired up with all of our villains and even just the different versions of villains that they had in here. I'm assuming
they took some swings for like I think I know which one. There's one in particular I should actually look up. I'm sure it's based on. There's one that I'll say it's the blue villain that is like one that's like far, I don't think it's been used for quite a while. But the one at
Okay,
the
yeah.
carnival, that's one where I'm like, this is a deep cut for me. I don't even know what
Yeah.
this character is, but I think they are all like, hey, let's use this character. But I'll get some Wikipedia up ready for that one particular, because I was like, Gwen was asking, like, I don't know on this one. We're gonna have to wait and see. Like, it's definitely not Wednesday Addams, but it sure
Yeah.
may as well be.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm sure there is some, I guess, comic book like inspiration or maybe character, or pardon me, the versions of a character pulled from like a certain comic book run. But like a lot of this just felt very original to me. Whether it was like the Penguin character, even like Harley Quinn, like that version of the character.
That was a
it
new
very-
version. Yes.
Okay, yeah. And I really dug it. Like even Catwoman, like it felt like a really early version of that character, but because I haven't seen that original comic book run of that character, it just was such like a breath of fresh air with that with that character. I love Selena Kyle as a character, and I like the versions that I've seen her portray in the past, but they all kind of have been pretty similar. Whereas this one, it felt very old school, and I really, really dug it. It really, really was a fun just watch. Like I was completely hooked. I think I told you off cast that like the first time I threw this on, it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh man, this is so good. Let's throw one more episode on. It was like 12:30. It was like on a Thursday. I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to bed. But like I just want to keep watching these adventures. And yeah, really, really well done with I mean, we're gonna go episode by episode. I feel like I could just rattle off all these things I love throughout this episode, but like Batman as a whole, and even just the way that Bruce Wayne is portrayed in the show was really, really interesting for me. I really love the dynamic between him and Alfred, because it's a very different one that I've seen in the past, where like it really, like every version of Alfred and the Wayne dynamic that I've seen. They're like family, and they are family, but like they just like Bruce never really sees him as like a servant, I feel.
Yeah.
Until this show where like he like snaps at him. It's like, dude, like I'm not paraphrasing, but like it's still a line of like do your job and like don't question me. Like you are
Yeah.
my like I'm your boss. And it's that moment at the end that he doesn't call him Pennyworth, calls him Alfred. That's a nice little growing up moment. But yeah, I thought this was really, really, really good show. And yeah, like I mean, I know somewhat of your thoughts because I talked to you, on GV
Mhm.
Day for it. But just being like a Batman fan, like I'm curious what the hardcore fans were feeling about this one, because I absolutely loved it. I think it's just, I think it's a fantastic telling of a Batman story, and I personally think it would be a great place to start of like recommending
Mhm.
someone like a Batman story. If maybe they'd seen like one movie, it's like, do you have any like Batman content to recommend me for just more of him? And definitely I'd recommend this show because the vibe too, like the setting, fits so well. Like I'm kind of surprised that we haven't gotten more of this like timepiece type Batman story, I guess you would call it.
I would love them to do in the movies. I wonder if the audience would go for it. I think that's always this them being scared, right? And that's
Yeah.
why mostly this version is the version that's becoming public domain. So I'm very curious what's going to
Mm.
happen with that, just in general. And I think that could be a place where it thrives, because that it might be better on a smaller scale for people, because maybe the general audience
Yeah.
be like, do I need like a 1940s like old school, like even the outfit, what, right? It's the big long ears. They didn't do the purple gloves, that's what he originally had, but like it's the bat symbol on his chest that's not the symbol. So it's like it's a suit, but it is close to the Batman animated series, where it is like I don't know, what would that be? It's not cotton or skin. I can't remember what it would be. I guess just tights, but there's a different word for it. But it is not an armored suit, right? It's just cloth. It's just
Like
cloth. And
fabric.
yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's if the guy's getting shot, So, but yeah, you asked my thoughts as a hardcore fan. Fucking hated it. It was just so no. I was I was very I was
Why they
very
change my
happy.
characters? What's up with
Yeah. Oh
this?
my God. Look what they did to Harley Quinn. There's no Joker with her. Could you? It's so woke. I can't believe that. There's women kiss this. No, I think one thing that surprised me was it was more mature. It's not like rated R, but it was still more mature than I thought. And they said it was gonna be, but I feel like you hear that all the time. Right? Go. It's a little more adult now, but it's like they are dropping some cuss words. If you have kids, in episode 1, it's not like a big deal, but they do talk about a certain Christmas character and talk about the factualness of that character. And luckily my kids, I think, didn't went over their heads, but I still was like, oh no, like it is gonna be the whole show, maybe I got to be careful here. But so it is more, it feels similar to 97, where it's made for the age group of 93 that grew up on Batman, but it's like, okay, now you need something a little bit older because you're older now, right? So I think they hit
Hmm.
that. And I think the time period fits because it is more of that gangster aesthetic. Even though I'm surprised, especially I'd say in the back half of the season, how comic booky they got, because I felt for 1 to 5, it's pretty similar to like the Batman or Nolan's Batmans, where it's like, okay, this is Batman in the real world. There's some fantastical stuff, but this is all stuff you could relatively see happening, right? People could put on these costumes, X, Y, and Z. Then we'll get to, there's an episode where they just go right out the window. And the whole time Gwen was talking to me, I'm like, no, I don't think it's going that route. And it's like, oh no, we are just going that route. Like I was very, and it's very nonchalant. It's not like my world's changed. Batman's like, well, I guess I gotta deal with that now. It's like, okay, that's Batman. That's the classic with prep time. He's just like, I can take on this. So, no, I loved it. I love the tone. Really was happy with Hamish Linklater as the voice. I thought he did a great job of both as Bruce and Batman. We'll get more into it in non-spoilers, but I love that, or in spoilers, but usually people have like, there's the Wayne voice and the Batman voice, which was funny was when he was Batman and Bruce Wayne with Alfred, it was the same voice, but when he was out in public, it was a new voice. So it's almost like people always say, right? His real face is the mask, and Bruce Wayne, or his real face is the Batman mask, and his true mask is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was I really liked that choice of anytime he was Bruce Wayne in public, he had like a fake voice. Where when he was Batman and Bruce Wayne in private, they were kind of the same voice because people wouldn't hear him naturally talk in like a more darker, deeper gravelly tone. And yeah, he definitely feels a bit more like the, not exactly Matt Reeves Batman as far as like the the emo lone wolfness, because he is out in public, he is the billionaire, but when he's alone he feels much more direct. And like, yeah, you were talking about Alfred, there's even like a flashback to him as a child, and he's a scary child, Bruce Wayne. Like he comes off as very threatening, and I won't say a loose cannon, but also still in a way where, because he has a code, he's out there for justice, but he just feels a bit more pessimistic. And Batman is always pessimistic, but even to the nth degree. Like, I don't think this is a Batman like how at the end of Batman Passes, like, oh, he learns about hope, right? I don't think this Batman has learned that yet, and that's like a positive. Yeah, I think this is still also in the early days. I don't think they really give a time frame of how long Batman's been around, but he's still like a urban myth when this show starts that people don't know of him. So
Yeah.
I love everything. Love the score. I love the title credit sequences. I wish it had a better like theme song. Like, that's one thing about the '90s show. It has like that da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, it has like, there's just something to it where I love the look of the title sequence, but it doesn't have like a catchy tune. But the score overall, just great kind of vibes. It's perfect in there. Visuals for like the most part are good. I think there's sometimes it's not exactly, but it gets close to Archer-isms, and I'm not a big fan of Archer, so that's where like sometimes like they give them certain line aesthetics, and I'm like, I don't love that, but it also still kind of fits with the old-timey look. So yeah.
I feel like I like the color usage. I think Batman looks fantastic, and a lot of the villains as well, but some of the drawing of certain characters, I don't know, it sounds harsh, but like, I don't want to say lazy, but like it just seems pretty simple, compared to some other animation style that I've seen. Like, very, I think it's blocky. Like, some people in suits look massive, like that Montoya, I think that's her name, Detective Montoya. She looked huge.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of similar. People have that comparison with Invincible, or sometimes that show looks really good, and then sometimes it just looks kind of cheap. And that's why I do think the show at times looks like that, not the whole time, but overall, like, I've minor, and with this whole story, with like, I love what they did with all the characters. I think the characters they chose, I think it's a good mix of classic characters with a spin, or not new, but characters that are not like, they haven't been seen in a Batman non-comic thing in years. Like, one of the characters, I won't spoil, like, I don't mind spoiling, but it's like Nocturna, that's the little girl in the Carnival episode. I think I've seen her, because as I see a picture of her, she's an older woman in skin-tight leather with cleavage. So I'm like, I think I've seen this character before. So when it's a little girl, haven't seen that character before. But that's where it's like, even myself, you ask me, oh, who's Nocturna? I'd be like, oh, I need to think of that. And I probably might not even get it. So that's why I like that they use characters that I feel it's a good, smart way. And just we'll get there when we talk about the part, the ending of this. But like, this has already confirmed for a season 2. And I think they end it in such a perfect way for twofer. Not even just like there's an end credit sort of thing. Just the setup of like, I needed season 2 right now, of like the last few moments of like, oh man, the stage is set for what's happening. And it doesn't feel like when we talk about Acolyte where it's like, oh, this will feel complete. To me, this feels complete, but I want more, where other shows maybe don't have that. This was like the fine line of the story's complete, but there's more. It's not a cliffhanger. It's not like I don't feel justified. Of course, I could get more in other episodes or characters, but I feel like they all have a good balance and kind of a full circle moment. And no, I think it matches the hype, because this was pretty hyped going in. I think this is one of the best. I'd have to make a list, but as far as like adaptions, not comic books wise, it could be top 5, because I definitely got Batman TAS in there. I got the Batman, got the Dark Knight. I guess you could just say Nolan trilogy in general, but I think it's definitely in there. Probably next would be the Arkham stuff, and then that. So it's up there. I think they did a phenomenal job. I don't know if there'll be more than season 2, but this is a show like I could take 100 episodes of just give me him with different, even find the most B-rate D-level villain and just put it in this aesthetic of, if you like Batman as the detective, this is the show. I don't think it has, because it's in the 40s, so he's not using tech. It's not like, remember the Batman where he has the eye thing and they're putting together all like schematics and like, oh, here, put your finger here. It's not that. It's just boots on the ground, but it's the vibe of a detective in the 40s, or like a Blade Runner noir tale of, okay, there's a mystery and I got to solve it. And I think, again, the runtimes all kind of work. We've talked about Disney Plus where they got some 26 to 28-minute episodes and you never feel fulfilled, where all these episodes are around 24 to 26 minutes, and most of them, like, yeah, I feel like they did a good start to finish journey. And I think it also helps some of those storylines go throughout the show. All I'll say is, I won't spoiler it, I think the only thing I did not love in the show was Harvey Dent in general. The back half of the show, I think, won me over, but I think there's some choices with that character. I think I know what they're going for, but also just the voice choice I didn't really like. So there's certain things where story-wise it wouldn't be like a 10 out of 10, but there's things that I like that it's kind of, like the positives very, very much outweigh the minor negatives, as far as like maybe some animation and one character thing with Harvey Dent, and not one moment, just a few things they did with him. So
yeah, it definitely wasn't my favorite version that I've seen of him. My favorite being the Dark Knight movie, especially just like how the event of him becoming Two-Face, like what happens kind of afterwards. I feel like in this, the event happens when he becomes Two-Face, and then like instantly he's just like a psycho, and I'm just like, really? Like this is quite a jump, I feel.
and he's yeah. Well,
so I did like the dynamic of him kind of fighting like the split, I guess the split version of himself, especially like when he's interacting with Barbara. I did like a lot of those moments, but I think just like the quick switch was not really something that I'm buying for just like how we get to there. It's just like, really? Okay, I guess we kind of have to just suspend whatever solid concrete reasoning I need to get to this point. But for him there being like a mayoral candidate, I thought that's a fun idea, but he still felt pretty slimy, which is a version of him that I haven't really seen other than, I guess, Tommy Lee. But by then he's like big Two-Face already at that point. Like he's straight up villain. So I guess what I can say is like this is probably the first time I've experienced Harvey Dent become Two-Face, other than the Dark Knight version. So yeah, compared to that, it just wasn't really that well done. But I don't know. I think there's probably more meat on that bones for that character, but at least the origin of it, I wasn't really a big fan of. But everything else, I think I really, really did love. I guess with yeah, never mind. We'll get there. Never mind.
Yeah, let's take our ad break, and then we'll just get right into spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. We're going to go episode by episode, so maybe if you've only seen a couple episodes, you can listen for it, but I think we both recommend it to various degrees, and definitely if you're not even a Batman fan, that's one where I did tell Dylan, because he's like, oh, I won't be on that review, I won't get time for it, but I said, like, he doesn't like most Batman stuff, but he liked the Batman, so I said, like, this isn't exactly like that, but I feel like it's more of that type of tone, so that's why I said, like, oh, definitely, I feel like if you like or Batman, or you just like, oh, like even if you're not the biggest fan, I think it is one of those shows that transcends, where there is Batman content where I go, okay, I like this because I'm a Batman fan, but it's not like I'm not telling Dylan he has to go play Arkham Knight. I love Arkham Knight because, oh, I'm a Batman fan, it's great, but it's like, well, if you've played Asylum, that's probably the right route for you to go. So we'll take an ad break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's see here. Oh, go ahead.
I kind of forgot that we had spoilers, so I feel like I spoiled some things earlier. I apologize.
You said a little on our end, but that's okay. People, we'll get there. But episode 1 was called In Treacherous Waters. Batman finds himself in the middle of a turf war between rival crime bosses Rupert Thorne and Penguin, who in a series of explosion rocks Gotham, which is funny, or not funny. It's fun because Rupert Thorne, he was a character created in that Batman 90s animated series in the 90s. So it's kind of fun where they said it's a spiritual successor and he's crossed over. They've never done him in the movies. He's just like a mob boss. But I thought this episode 1 was just like a good table setter, not in the way of like, oh, like prepare for next episode. Just felt like, here's the state of Gotham, here's the people on the board, and here's your type of Batman. And then plus introducing like a flipped Oswald, like Oswaldo or Oswalda. What was it? I can't.
Oswalda.
Oswaldo, like a gender swap Penguin. I actually kind of liked it because the whole idea of like the Iceberg Lounge, this being more of like a Vegas kind of party bar instead of like a mobster's bar. It was that. It was like in a guise of like, oh, they're singing and dancing and it's on a boat, which I really liked that touch. Like, oh, that's cool. So I thought for episode one, like a debut, I thought this was probably the perfect episode to do. Obviously, I know they probably couldn't shift them around, but I just thought they hit all the notes they needed for, hey, this is this Batman,
Yeah.
this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially giving us right out the gate like a very different version of a character that we have a lot of experience with. Especially like when they first show Penguin, I guess at the start of this episode, like it's just a silhouette in the glasses, and then like the
Yeah.
broom, and it's like, okay, Penguin just off that guy. That's what we're doing here. And then later on, it's like the female version of Penguin, like singing like a cabaret style to like these people. I'm like, is that like Penguin's sister or something? Like what's this? What are they doing here? And then it's like, oh no, okay, they're really changing the character. So as you said, like the table setter comment, I think that's perfect a word for it, because it really just shows you right out the gate, like, okay, this is gonna be like, expect different versions of villains that we've seen before. But yeah, I like shows Gotham. It's funny. I said to you off cast that like I didn't even know that this was actually the 40s till the second episode. I feel like
Yeah.
I just didn't clue in. It's like, okay, this is just style. Like, you know, people are dressed in this style, and
Because that's how
what we're going
the
with.
'90s series was, where it took place.
Okay.
Like it wasn't in the like they didn't specify, but it was like present day. But there's a lot of like things that look old school, much like
Yeah.
like Burton's Batman, right? Like those movies, they take place in the '80s, but they have like weird Art Deco, and they have like they on purpose, which I kind of like that they. And I think the Batman tries to do that a little bit. I like that it's like it's not really specified when it could take place. I like when there's like a little bit of modern tech, but it's like old school. But this is definitely more okay. This is the full on 40s and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No cell phones or anything. So yeah, and like just seeing Batman pop off, like you get the classic. You know, there's some crooks that are doing like a shipment unload or something, and then the big bat comes, and I love actually when Batman isn't like established in the sense of like everyone knows who the bat is. Like I like when it's this mysterious entity out there of like they call it like a thing instead of like a man. I just love whenever it's the fear of what he is that's just like really sending shivers down the spines of some criminals out in Gotham. I love whenever we're in that era, I think of Batman popping off, and that's how it starts. And pretty much from start to finish, it is kind of that. Like obviously some of our main players, like some cops and whatnot, know more about him and are interacting with him more. They're not just shooting right on sight. At least the people that are interacting with him, like Barbara and oh my gosh, what's her
Jim
dad's name?
Gordon.
Jim Gordon. There you go.
Yeah, Renee Montoya.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I think it was just a great table setter, and also just like showing how dark we're kind of going in this show, right? Like Penguin, like she kills one of her sons, right?
Yes.
like I was
Her
not
favorite
expecting,
son.
I was not expecting that to happen at all. And I like too how just like that actually wasn't the one that ratted her out,
Yes.
and then it's like the other guy's like, you gotta help me, she's gonna find out it was
She just
actually
killed
me.
my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy fuck, like this is a dark show already. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good mobster stuff. And then I like to get to that situation because I scrubbed through it a little bit. I forgot about this, but it reminded me of Batman Begins when he gets the guy and he has him in the rain, but he bat grapples the guy and holds him over like the train tracks and the ways of interrogating. So I think it's good one showing, how dark he is, but I did like that aspect of the mob because it felt not exactly like a Scorsese Goodfellas sort of thing, but it has that type of vibe where there are wise guys but can get serious, and I like that. When Bruce Wayne is in, like, he's at the Iceberg Lounge, so he's undercover as this idiot Bruce Wayne, and he falls in the water. I love when he does that. Oh, it's not a party to fall off the boat, and Barbara doesn't care, and he says it to some other girls. They all like laugh.
Just repeats like the same line like right next to her.
Yeah, but I like that he found that and he used it to get away, and then the next scene later, that's how they used to kill that son, because they just throw him in a suitcase and just fill it with something, and then he's gone. And it just showed that she is a brutal crime boss. Like, she has her sons, but they feel like they're more, I don't know, objects of helping her out. I don't think there's actual much care there. So
100%.
yeah. And yeah, no, I like Oswaldo. Like, it's like, to me, it's like other than even then, singing wise, like felt like what the Penguin could have done. You still could have had it as a male, so like didn't bother me. I liked we also met Jim Gordon and Barbara here. I liked that dynamic of I don't think they're making Barbara a Batgirl superhero. So it's like, what do you do? Well, make her a lawyer, a prosecutor, things like that. Gets her in the action, gets her connected with her dad. So I thought that was a good combo, and I'm very happy in the show. They didn't seem to do anything romantic with him and Batgirl because Bruce Timm has done that before, and I don't like Barbara and Bruce Wayne. It's just like it's a yucky thing for me.
Shouts out to
Killing Joke.
Killing Joke, yeah. I was trying to
He
remember.
worked on that one, yeah. So, was there? And yeah, I guess we met Rupert Thorne. That was again some of the like I love the classic mob stuff when he shows up to the party and it's like that, the on purpose in your face kind of threatening, but it's not like it's like the wink wink nudge nudge sort of thing. I always like that in mob movies. So
Yeah.
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 Was anything else specifically from that first episode?
No.
No,
I didn't say it earlier, but I love the intro to the show. I watched it
Mhm.
every time. I did not skip it once.
I did
and,
as well too.
It's just very dark and very detective-y. Like you just see him like walking through like the hallway and the LA Noir. I don't know why I said LA Noir. I guess that's a game.
I
but
almost
just
did that a couple times too. I think because we grew up with that game, like being just advertised all the time. So
the noir aesthetic of what it was. I could totally believe that there would be a black and white version out there for this show. Like I think it really, really fits. But yeah, great theme.
yeah. Next up, we have "And Be a Villain." When a glamorous movie star disappears, Batman and Detective Montoya find themselves tangled up in a dark web of a mysterious Avenger haunting the sound stages. What do you think about this? Because it's funny, we had talked about this before, where we don't have the villains now, but there was a rumor last year that Clayface was going to be the Matt Reeves villain for Batman Part 2, and everyone was like, oh, how do you do that? But it was like, no, same thing that we said, where it's like, oh, they're doing a villain, but with a like a different version twist. And this is the original Clayface, where he was an actor. I think in that one, I think they did a combo in this where his face is Clay. I feel like with the original, he was more just a master of disguise. I don't think he could do like, so I feel like they kind of like comboed the two characters together. But what did you think about this one? Because there's like lots of kind of fun old school Hollywood in this, and this was like there's a couple episodes that like you got there. It's funny. I feel like there's 3 division episodes. You got your fantastical episodes with like possession and a ghost and supernatural stuff, and then you got the mob episodes, and then you got like, this is where I think the Matt Reeves stuff comes in, like the serial killer stuff. Like I feel like this Harley Quinn. Maybe there's another one where I feel like that's in the that I could feel like these characters fitting in the same realm the Riddler did in the Batman. Like this one, I saw this, and then when I went back to those rumors, like man, I could see Matt Reeves when they're working on the show and him looking at his character being like, oh, like I could do this, and this could fit with the Riddler and that type of, oh, if Batman's going after killers, like this aesthetic could really fit with what Reeves is doing. So
absolutely. This one was definitely one of my favorite episodes of the season. I had only ever experienced Clayface, I think, one other time, unless he popped up in Arkham.
He's in Arkham City. He's
he?
one of the bosses. Yeah.
Well, then I definitely fought him then.
Yeah.
But the only time I've seen him on a show setting would have been the Harley Quinn show, and that's a very different version than what we have here. Still great. I love his character in the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy show. But but no, I thought this was fantastic. I thought it was really dark, and like it had twists and turns, like a true like serial killer movie would have, like something like Seven or something, you know. So yeah, the comparisons to Matt Reeves very fitting. I think it's a great pairing of a character to have with that universe, and even just like the monstrosity that like Clayface kind of has, like when I think it's Montoya that first smacks him, and like his face is just smushed over, and it's like, what the hell even are you? Like just the puzzle there, and thinking that I can't remember the name of the guy that he kind of like he murders, and then he used like his own serum to make him look like actually
I can't remember the doctor or whatever. Yeah.
So just like that little switch around there, I really did like. And even just following Montoya here, I feel like as a character throughout the whole show, she wasn't used that much, but this episode was definitely a highlight of her kind of just like pretty much doing the case like through her perspective. And I really liked her as a character for that reason, and yeah, just the whole detective isms that Batman has here. It was fun to have him not just using like state of the art billionaire tech, because that's
Yeah.
really
Just
the
figures
version.
it out. Yeah.
That's usually the character that I'm most familiar with, right? Like even in Arkham City, like you have all your gadgets, and it is in a more modern time. And then like even the Reeves Batman, that one feels like, I don't know. I think we're talking like it's almost like a '90s type era. It
like
seems, but there never actually says, so
yeah,
you don't
it's like
know.
present day, but like old new tech. It's like the original Star Wars thing where it's like sci-fi, but everything looks old and worn down and used and everything, which is funny to shout out. I don't think this will be the next comic versions, but it's releasing in the fall. DC's doing this line called DC All In. It's like the Ultimate Universe of Marvel, where it's like, okay, it's a different universe. They're doing that, and they're doing a Batman who, like, if he had lost all his money, I don't know how. I don't know if it's like it gets stolen from whatnot, but it's a Batman, but he doesn't have like gadgets, billions of dollars. He's not Bruce Wayne the philanthropist. So that's something you should look. Just put in Batman Absolute. See how fucking jacked they made him. So he doesn't have the weapons and gear. So they made up for it, and just, I guess he's just pumping iron 24/7. But
Oh my God,
he's
huge.
massive, right? Yeah, he's huge. He's a tank. But that's where something that, like I said, that might be a good one to put on your potential reading list. I'll read it first, let you know. But it's written by my favorite Batman writer. But that's a similar vein where I think that one's going to have him being, he can be a detective, but he's not just going to be like, let me use this X-ray scanner and get everything, because it's like he doesn't have money, this Batman. So it's going to be interesting what they do there. So
Yeah.
and they've done other things like the Wonder Woman. She's like all tatted up and everything. I don't know what the difference is. Superman, I think they've said he's more alien than human this go around. So I think I don't know what the story is there. And same thing, Flash. They've been cagey on these because they want to obviously get people to buy them, but they're all gonna have like different spins on what it's not gonna be the same sort of character. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so if people like that sort of Batman where he just kind of has his tools as just his brain, you got something coming there. But no, I really like this sold me. What I would love, the reason I would love this, because it does feel weird that they're like making movies in Gotham, which is Gotham's supposed to be like this dangerous city. So you feel like an insurance agency would be like, hey, maybe not work in Gotham. So I don't know how you can make them the Batman Part 2, but I really don't care, even if it's stage play stuff. Like, I love there's a segment of they're just kind of showing him doing all these type of old typey movies, whether it's like the pendulum or just they show the roles he went through, and then they go to sound stages and there's investigations. I think that, to me, like in live action Batman, I would love to see the Batman, Clayface, and Matt Reeves working with, the Batman looking into old school movie sets or whatever it may be. Like, I would love to see those sequences in live action with a real set built. Not that it was bad in live action, this was dripping with, it was fine as a one-parter, but I could even have, this is like a character I hope in season 2 comes back, Clayface, for whatever reason, because there was enough meat on the bone there. I was like, okay, I want to see more. Love the design of the jacket and the bandana. That looks very similar to the OG comic one. So yeah, this one was a standout. I don't think it was, I don't know if it's either my second or third favorite. It's up there. It was a very good time. So
Yeah.
okay, we got the kiss of Catwoman, which I think everyone knows about that. Selena Kyle turns to a life of crime as a daring Catwoman after her multi-million father goes to prison, leaving her strapped for cash. So what do you think about this? We got the great Christina Ricci voicing this, and it's I think completely in line with what Catwoman is, but I think it gets there to a different route. She takes a different, at least that I don't. Maybe this is adapting some really golden age comic books. The look is, I think, exactly like the Batman of the past, where this is the look that Catwoman had originally. So maybe there is some isms of this being her original origin as far as being a copycat or using Batman as kind of a scapegoat here.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I said it in my earlier thoughts, like just seeing a different version of the Catwoman that I've seen in the past was really, really cool. And she was very like I want to say, I don't know if lighthearted is the right word, but she just seems like I know she's not innocent, but she comes off that way. Especially like kind of the comedic moments around her, I think kind of put her in that light as well. And she just doesn't seem as dangerous as like maybe she could be because of that. Like she's just always got one-liners, and like she gets caught and it's just like, oh shucks, like you guys got me and that's it. And
yeah,
then,
I think you'd underestimate this Catwoman a lot. She kind of
definitely.
seems like just a regular two timing, like, oh, this is an easy lock up type of villain, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I really, really love the dynamic between like her and Batman on screen. That's always a big thing throughout the Batman universe is those two characters actually interacting. And Bruce just kind of seemed like annoyed with her for the for the most part.
Yeah.
More so than just being like, oh, I'm so in love with it with this character, which I guess most often the time when he at least is in the bat suit, like he is coming off that way. At least he's trying to be. But this way, yeah, he just felt like he was really annoyed by her, and I really like the her kind of origin that she is just like her father was thrown in prison or something. Their money's just running out. I love the dynamic between her and her housekeeper, and then
3
she
months
just,
of pay backloaded.
just sells all of her things. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm collecting, so good luck with your life. And she's in prison. Like, it was just a really fun episode, especially coming off of, I think the previous one, I guess the previous two were pretty heavy and like darker,
Yes.
at least compared to this one. So it was a nice kind of like catch your breath, I think, because even the next episode gets pretty dark as well. But yeah, I really, really loved it. And I really want to see more of this Catwoman. So hopefully in the next season we see her again.
Yeah, no, I think it showed a good versatility because I think the episode, it's not exactly, I don't know. I don't know if there's any episode that is as comedic and kind of lighthearted as this one. I think there's element of Night Ride with, like, the Gentleman Ghost, where it's like there's some kind of like Scooby-Doo-esque to it, but then I think the back half gets like serious, so it kind of goes away, where this is like, it is kind of like a breath of fresh air. And yeah, she's much more, I'd say, if you were to look at their attributes, I think her durability and like fighting skills probably a lot lower than other Catwoman, but her like tricksterness or slyness is a lot higher. And I think it's a fun little ploy as far as, okay, people are starting to see and hear about this Batman character. What if I go to where that character is, commit some crimes, and then they can always be pinned on him? So again, it's kind of a savvy decision there. Obviously, Batman, which I love, he decides like, I'm gonna go get someone to take pictures of it. Very bold move when the photographer's like, I got you pictures of you beating up cops. Do you want to publish that? He's like, well, I just got to get Catwoman off the street. So that's one thing where it's like, you've seen some Batman before that maybe wouldn't do that or worry about this. This Batman is very just, I think, all the time. That's what reminded me of Matt Reeves' Batman, where it's just very goal oriented, always just about, doesn't care, it's just about the mission, has to go forward on it, right? Like the way when Alfred and the Batman's like, oh, you gotta go out and appear normal, he has no interest in doing that. This Batman, it's just whatever, if they see me beating some cops up, I'll deal with it later, even though that's not gonna help his cause, right? It's gonna hurt him, and it does throughout the show. They start putting, wanted, whatever, what would it be called,
Wanted poster, bounty.
or a warrant, like kind of like a warrant, right? Like just to get him and stuff. There's anytime he's around, he's gonna be trying to arrest it. So that's gonna make his job harder. But if that means locking up a criminal, then Batman's all for it. So no, I agree, and I think Richie did a good job. Again, I think the voice acting pretty much all around is really good here. But yeah, I think this was a fun kind of breath of fresh air episode. I don't know how many you need of these because I do like the more darker, serious one. So I think one a season, even if they did two, is fine. But I think one was like just my cup of the tea there, and I imagine the same thing. I think I could see her coming back, and there's more hijinks. I don't know if it would be, her father went to prison, right? So I'm not sure if that character were to get out, and I could see something like Batman looking into the dad, and unfortunately he gets roped back in dealing with Selena Kyle one way or another. So, but right now, I guess she's just in prison, right? That's how it ended, because her maid left her, and she's just there. But
She got no bail.
who knows how much time she's gonna have to do. So. The Night Hunters. Detective Montoya is put in charge of a task force assembled by Mayor Jessop to catch Batman, and Gotham is put in jeopardy when Detective Flass and Bullock take matters in their own hands. So what did you think about Flass and Bullock, our resident kind of dirty cops? Bullock is... it's tough because in media he's all over the place. Sometimes he is the asshole cop, but is still sticking by the book, and he'll do... here's the thing. Doesn't stick by the book, but he's not like a dirty cop. Or there's times like this show where he is just like a dirty cop. So he's kind of all over. But I will say Flash had some nice looking suits in this show.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I like the blue.
They're looking good.
We're looking really good. Yeah, I did like this episode. I think it was a good showcase of like the internal struggle that a straight cop like Jim Gordon has of like balancing the mayor pressuring him to do certain things, and then him staying true to what he believes is right. And Yeah, like I've said it a couple times already, but I think the show is just a really good starting point for like someone in the Batman universe because it does just show like we just talked about Catwoman, so it showed like the origin to that. Like you get some Cobblepot in the early portions and the detectivisms of the like the Clayface episode. I guess the detective is throughout the entire show, but
There's some that lean
but
more into it,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
but like this episode, I feel like it was a really good showcase of that corruption that Gotham has, and it was just a really good showcase for it. I liked how by the end, like it just, I don't know. I think the shot of like Bullock like shooting the guy, like I know they don't see him shoot him, but they like showcase him that he is the one that killed him. I'm like, I don't know if that's really a hero pose. It's like he clearly didn't have to
Yeah.
shoot him, but I guess I get what they're coming for.
Even the mayor thing I didn't like, where it's like, oh, these guys have some moxie. You're gonna be like, there's a few things I don't like about the ending of the episode. I liked him shooting him because it did show like that was their fuck up and very bold plan. What are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna release. I love the beginning when all the cops are trying to like fake out Batman. They're doing like fake robberies and fake crimes, and just Batman's looking there. Or the times that he'll just go and hang them up and like, yeah, we missed him. We didn't see him, but he was definitely here as his partners are upside down. Like I thought the first 5 minutes of
Yeah, true.
again, it's like it is comedic, but it's like comedic in the right way where it's not like over the top or like right in your face. It's like fun situational humor. So they
We'll
take
get
it.
him. We'll totally get him. We'll outsmart him.
Yeah, just do it again. Do it again. We'll do it again in 10 minutes. And so I like that, these idiots are like, well, what if we just release an actual criminal back into the wild? They call them Firebug. I'm wondering if, because he's Firefly now, so I'm wondering if maybe in the comics he started as Firebug because they specifically kept that I'm Firebug, I'm Firebug. So I think that must have been a throwback to something back in the day. But yeah, that and then the plan goes terribly wrong because they do give him all his tools, but lo and behold, the guy that loves fire starts to burn everything down again. So I was fine with that all, and I was fine with Bullock shooting him and making the kill and showing again that Batman's trying not to do that, kill the enemies. He'd rather take them down, put them in jail. I think, like you said, I don't know if it's like a hero pose, but maybe in the 40s, right? Maybe you'd look at that as like maybe back then a cop like serving justice. I think for me, it was one because Gordon goes, "Hey, I know what you guys did. Like you guys really fucked up. Everyone's gonna know about this." Right when that happens, the mayor calls like, "Oh, these guys, they got the right plan. You gotta start listening to them." One, I just didn't like that leap because like for Gordon not even try to explain what happened. Like this was like multiple lives lost, buildings. So I didn't like they didn't try to explain it. And two, I didn't actually really feel like the whole thing with the mayor being like, "Oh, these guys are gonna be important." I feel like the rest of the show, Flask and Bullock, were still just kind of dirty, shady cops. It never felt like Jim Gordon wanted to go do something. And like, no, like we got control now. So it was like a weird. I maybe I just wish they would have been like the mayor would have called to congratulate them and he wouldn't have had them fired. But it felt like a weird thing to be like, oh yeah, they're gonna these guys are gonna be around for a while and making some decisions. But it didn't really feel like that happened. Maybe I guess a bit near the back end, but I didn't feel that storyline as maybe some other ones like Barbara or Dent that kind of went throughout the show. It felt like they kind of had too many ebbs and flows in that one. So we'd like to see a little bit more of them, but it was, again, a minor nitpick there for me. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. And I like Firebug, Firefly, whatever. He's like an easy villain. Fire.
I like the trippy like lights things that he had on people. It's funny. It actually reminded me of. You'll have to pinpoint exactly what it is, but the Dexter villain that was seeing like angels in people.
Oh, jeez, Travis something. It was season 6 where
it wasn't
like
the Doomsday Killer, right?
Oh,
It was
not
someone
Doomsday.
else?
Well,
No,
seeing angels in people.
he would like see. Maybe it was Hannibal actually, not Dexter.
I think it's Hannibal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Doomsday Killer. That's Dexter. I think it's Hannibal with the seeing angels and people.
Yeah, because he would just look at people and they'd be like lit up, and that's pretty much what Firebug was seeing. He's just
and he's like,
little
"Oh, I gotta light
flames.
them up." Yeah.
Yeah, I like that trippy like psychological factor that they had to that character.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on the Firebug episode?
No.
All right, the stress of her regard, and this is a good thing to talk about too because we didn't mention it, so we'll talk about it in this episode. Batman and Barbara Gordon are set on a collision course when they investigate abductions of rich, powerful men in Gotham. We forgot they set this up. I can't remember if it's this episode before or like in 3, but they had set up that Batman, he was in public, and I really like. There's two situations this happens. Someone makes a crack at his dead parents, and Bruce snaps and punches the guy, which I
That
that's
was a
what I really.
Catwoman episode because the
It was that
guys
okay,
at the Pearls, they're like
right?
commenting, which is hilarious because they're like shit talking while like Bruce Wayne's like right beside. It's like what an idiot. Why would they be in that area? It's like clearly they knew who Bruce Wayne is and he's standing right there.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But like, so I really enjoy. I feel like it's been as far as I'm trying to think of the animated series. I feel like he keeps a pretty cool comic like what I was trying to say is either we see Bruce Wayne where he is the fake Bruce Wayne and he's cool the whole time, or it's something like Reeves where it's like okay he's not Bruce Wayne that much, right? Like he tries to hide. I like that this was the fake Bruce Wayne, but he would big time snap and show, and that's why he gets the therapy, right? But he punches a guy, and later on, I know I'm jumping forward, but there's a conversation he has with Harvey Dent, and in the middle of it, he like switches to Batman. He's like,
Oh,
he says,
yeah.
he says something like, "Oh yeah," I can't remember. He's like, he just pretty much just says like, "And you're a coward, so you wouldn't do that." Like he says something, and Dent's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just joking around." But like, I like that they showed this Bruce Wayne. That to me was the difference. Where usually Bruce has his stuff under control, but like it's like sometimes the Batmanisms they slip out, and that's what I liked about this. Where okay, he made a crack, and even then in therapy, he just said, "Hey, this guy was an asshole. He said something about my parents. I just decided to clock him one, right?" And it's if that would be believable, and that's what we didn't talk about, but it's like I said, fitting to talk about here, where he is having therapy sessions with Harley Quinzel, and they're trying to get down to the bottom, and eventually she just decides, like I can't help you because you're not letting me help you. There's something there, but you're just faking it. Like, so she doesn't pick up that he's Batman, but she definitely picks up like this guy is not who he says he is. I guess because he wasn't a piece of shit. That's why she didn't lock him up. It seems she seems to lock up like more, I don't know, more bigger assholes. But yeah, we get this. This was my favorite episode because, of course, I'm a Joker guy, but I was like, okay, I like the therapy thing. I do like the redesign. But this again falls in that like serial killer Riddler vibes of because that's the synopsis, right? But I had no maybe that synopsis is on Amazon, but I had no idea. I thought, okay, it's just gonna be Batman and Harley Quinn. When she goes back home and she has a bunch of people locked downstairs, like a fucking Joe from You or Dex Morgan, I was like, okay, this jumped levels to me. It would have been fine if it was just the first angle, but the second angle and the way she's like making these guys have like Stockholm syndrome and they're listening to her not because of mind control or a spell, just because they've been in there for months, maybe some of them a year or two, and they're just their mind is warped by her messing with them or shocking them or having them beat each other. Like to me that was where I was like another time where I was like, okay, this is even more darker than I thought it was going to be. Again, it's not gratuitous violence where there's blood or skin piercing, but it's just what they imply. So this to me was my favorite just because of I really liked the twist. And the other last point is I really liked her being with Renee Montoya, and it didn't seem like it was like I'm dating this cop so I can like have an in on the police, right? It seemed like she
Yeah.
genuinely cared because they were going to go on a date. And when like Quinn fell off that mountain, presumably dead, she called her and said, "Hey, I'm going to be at town for a little bit, but we will have that date in the future."
Yeah.
Renee was looking all sad. So really, this was like aces the whole way through, and this was my favorite one. I loved this Harley Quinn episode, the addition, everything. This is something that I'd be completely down for Reeves to steal if they wanted to do like Harley Quinn in his universe with the Joker, like make her this sort of route. So it was very
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, I really really like the spin on it. It's very different Harley Quinn that I've experienced. Just because every Harley Quinn that I have seen has been so tied to the Joker, and it was kind of cool that she is doing her own thing even without that guy. And but like living this double life of like being like a doctor and then doing these trippy experiments like after hours and still like getting dressed up for it. I really
Oh,
like the
yeah.
new look too, how it's kind
Yeah.
of like a brownish yellowish color palette compared to the classic like white and red, probably some black in there as well, but
And she
yeah.
looks like a porcelain doll, where like
Yeah,
Harley Quinn
which is
usually like a
terrifying.
jester. Yeah, it looks like one of those just dolls you'd find in that the eyes too. It's a good
Yeah.
look. Yeah.
100%, and I agree with you. I think the dynamic of her being with Detective Montoya was really fun because it, like you highlighted, like it wasn't just for her benefit of like getting in the force. Like every conversation that they had, like she seemed like she was giving her like very genuine advice that like would be like something like a partner would supply you with, or you'd hope they would supply you with. And I don't know, I just felt like they had good chemistry together. And yeah, so I thought all of that was really, really good. And yeah, it was a fantastic episode. It, because yeah, she was. I think she would have been introduced in that third episode with Catwoman, like when he is going through
just
his,
as Quinzel. And I like that
yeah,
they don't like tip the hat there where it's like, oh, she's a bad therapist. It's
yeah.
just she's a therapist at first to start, right?
And that's
So,
where I'm like, okay, we got to get Harley eventually at some point. Maybe
yes.
next season, I'm thinking. Then, of course, 2 episodes later, we have her in the costume. But yeah, she's definitely not gone. So I am intrigued as to what's going to come next.
And I like that she was like when she lost, and this happens a few times where because this show and Batman all the time he's a solo lone wolf loner, but he's always working with people. This is a situation where Barbara saved him, right? Because she goes down there, very risky because she has some suspicions about Harley Quinn. But I like that Harley Quinn, when Batman's down there, she's like profiling him and she's like, oh, I'm just your type. So it's like almost flirting with him in a little sense. So, and I don't know if she's bisexual or not. I think we'll talk about the end of the season where maybe I'm not sure what tie she has to the Mr. J or whatnot, but no, I think it was a very fun rendition of the character. So
Show.
next, Night Ride. After a series of robberies in Gotham, Batman wrestles with the possibility that the culprit might be from beyond the grave. Meanwhile, Harvey Dent's morality is tested. A generous campaign donation comes from the most nefarious source, which will, like we said, we're going to table the Harvey Dent talk to episode 9 and 10 because we can just put it all in the kit and caboodle. So what did you think about this? Because to me, like I was saying in non-spoilers, episodes 1 to 5, all real world mobsters, crazy people. I guess Clayface, but even Clayface has stretched like, well, it's surgery, like it's a botched like chemical compound or something, right? Where this is, because Gwen's like, oh, is this gonna be an actual ghost? I'm like, I compare it to like, no, it's probably gonna be like Scooby Doo, where it looks like a ghost, but someone's just doing some effects. Because even Batman's done that before. But this was just a full-on Evil Dead ghost back from, like, they had to do voodoo to get rid. I was surprised, and I'm fine because the comics do that all the time, and that's always the debate, right? Like with Matt Reeves and Nolan, it's like, well, they never had, like, will Matt Reeves do a Mr. Freeze or something like this? So I was kind of surprised because I knew Gentleman Ghost was in here, but I thought, oh, they'll just find a way to make it effects or make some sort of, illusion. But yeah, they just went full-on magic here, and I thought this was a very fun episode. It did to me feel like, other than the Harvey Dent stuff, it felt like Scooby Doo, but like I liked it. And then the ending with Alfred, that was some messed up stuff too. Where
The ending's very dark.
Yes,
like, when he like hands over the vial to this guy, and then you just have the ghost in the vial. Like, you can't leave me with him. No. And then it's like, what are you gonna do with him? You sure you want to know? And then they just like walk off, and like lightning and thunder. It's like, holy fuck! Like, what the hell is that guy?
It's a good Halloween type episode.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but like you, I was very much expecting that Scooby Doo reveal that it's just like a show, and even Batman has that moment. It's like, or like, what is he? He says something along the lines like, "I could still hit you," and he like throws a batarang and it goes like right through him. It's like, oh fuck, that's actually a ghost.
Yeah.
So
it's just in the middle of this mob war too. Like the guy, because he talks to that voodoo guy, I can't remember his name, and like, oh, I'm so surprised you're open the possibilities. Like, well, I guess anything's possible, and if ghosts are possible, I gotta fix it. It's just like he just accepts that in the middle of this very realistic 1940s crime war, there's just a ghost, and Batman's like, yep, I will deal with this ghost and then get back to my job, and no mention of like, hey, I fought a fucking ghost a couple nights ago, just he fought a ghost.
I think his name was Midnight. Is that right?
Sounds about right? Yeah,
the voodoo guy. Whatever it was, yeah, he was interesting. He's definitely got some sussery to himself. That's a character I could see possibly pop up in another season.
Linton Midnight. Yeah,
okay,
there you go.
But yeah, this was very interesting. I mean, I've seen some paranormal kind of instances that Batman's come across, mostly just from like, I think Arkham City kind of goes in that route sometimes with the breaking away from the realism factor. But I also just really liked how Batman kind of handled this situation. Like, it's almost as if he's like, well, that's not the weirdest thing I've seen, and it's not the weirdest thing I'm ever gonna see. So let's just carry on. And he is just such a person that, like, it's all about the facts and like whatever's in front of him and what the evidence shows him. And I like how right away it's like, well, clearly you're it's just like a trick, like you're not actually a ghost. And then throws the batarang, like, oh, never mind. And then the ghost like hits him too. So it's like, well, fuck, what are the rules here? Like you can hit me, I can't hit you. But yeah, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was spooky. I like the moments when the ghost was robbing the guy on the train, and
that was good. Good opening. Yeah.
yeah. So
No, and it somehow worked. Like for me, it did work because sometimes when you get fantastical elements of Batman, you have to not be careful because he does it all the time. But it just depends on the tone you set, and for some reason, it still worked here in a very mostly realistic world leading up to it. You know.
yeah, 100%.
After that was moving target. Montoya vows to do everything in her power to protect Commissioner Gordon, following a botched attempt on his life. Batman's investigation leads him to realize that no one can be trusted. I don't have any episodes that I would fail or dislike in this. I think this would probably be my lower tier one because Automatopoeia, he's a fun character, but I feel like out of all these episodes, I feel like all the villains or supporting characters really popped. I don't think they gave Automatopoeia enough because it's him with like a bunch of other hitman. Automatopoeia is the guy that has like the circle mask. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I just feel like there needed more there. I liked the aspect of there's a hit, cops are turning on them, the hit's actually on Barbara, not Gordon. I liked all the mob stuff. I think just as a villain, I don't think he got the shine I was kind of hoping for, because I think every other episode the villain does get a good shine, where here I thought, like he's like a fun B-rate, but I think this would be probably my least favorite episode, but still an episode I really enjoyed. And it was just furthering more of Gotham's tainted, dirty, etc. Because I really like that cop that's with them the whole time, working with them, and then he just says, "Sorry, it's a lot of money." It's like, well, okay. So I enjoyed it still, even though it being maybe my lower ranked one.
Yeah, with that villain, I liked at least that it wasn't just like another goon. Like they had like some sort of super villain, even though he might be like a C or a B rate villain. I still like that, like the look. So like when I first saw him, I'm like, oh, it's the Spot, and then I'm like, oh, that's Marvel. And I'm like, oh, it's Zero. Oh no, that's Marvel as well. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then subtitles show me it was Onomatopoeia, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He's doing like whoosh. He's doing all like the classic like sound effect things
created
by
Kevin Smith too in the comic books. So
really?
He's actually an Arrow, Green Arrow villain. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think his inclusion here was the weakest, just because there isn't much more than he's just the leader of this band of bad guys, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's like the main leader. They just called him Boss. It's like, oh, good one, Boss.
Yeah.
But what I did really like about this episode was just the threat of like Gordon and like getting him out. It very much made me think of like The Dark Knight, when like all the hits are out there and they're like trying to get people in the safe houses, and there's just threats everywhere. You can't trust anyone. And I like also the moment between I think it's Barbara, when she ambushes Gordon when he's coming home from work with Montoya and some other cops. And he's like, if anyone comes out there, he's like, I'll be ready. He's got like his fucking 6-shooter with him. It's like, okay, tough guy. But I like how she's like, you're saying all these things, but like, there's this innocent lady that like lives 10 feet from you. Like,
they
she
don't
could
need
get
this
shot in the
war
crossfire.
coming to
Yeah,
their
exactly.
house,
And like some really real points that she was making that totally makes
like,
sense.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
Sure,
So I like all those moments. And then of course I like when Batman comes in and saves the day at the end. That was really sweet. So it probably is one of the lesser episodes for me, but like it's still really good. And it just goes to show the quality of the show in general.
Yeah. Episode 8, Nocturne. When children start to go missing at a Harvey Dent campaign event, Batman sleuthing into an underbelly of local carnival hosting and uncovers something far more sinister. And absolutely, because you got
he's sleuthing.
Yeah, he's sleuthing. You got just this girl that's how many years old, sucking life up, doing I guess not fake magic, but making her brother look like he's has magic with these things. And this is like a fun, because it's kind of half episode, right, where it's half the circus stuff and then half setting up Harvey Dent's turn for Two-Face and everything that happens there. So I think this was a good episode. I still, same thing, would have it probably in the more lower ones, but still very positive. I liked how dark they were getting. You just walk in this room, just these kids are just passed out. The life has been sucked out, and the brother's like, "Hey, you only got one more." And walks like, "What's going on? You said, oh, sorry, just one. I just needed one more, just a little boost." And what we can do with him? Well, we can just kill him. And so it was a dark episode. I think because they had to do some stuff with Dent, maybe again that's why maybe the villains are a bit weaker in this one, like Automatopoeia, where that one had okay, you got a lot of the Gordon, Barbara, Hitman stuff. This also had a lot with hey, people are after Dent and where he's gonna get some acid to the face and everything like that. So still a good episode, but I think like I said, still probably like a moving target maybe in the bottom half for me.
Yeah. I I was. This is another one that kind of caught me off, or caught me off. It caught me by surprise with how dark it really went. Of
Mhm.
just like abducting these children, these like lost orphans, and then just slurping the life right out of them. It was really creepy, and like one that I feel like if I saw as a youngin, like it probably would have freaked me out. Just the way that she like lures these kids in. It's like, oh, like, yeah, I saw him yesterday. Let's go. I think he's in this back room. Like, let's go
Yeah.
see him. And it's just like that idea. Like, I'm just getting chills thinking about it right now. I think it's just a really creepy concept, and I feel like circuses in general just always
Yeah.
freaked me out as a kid. Just the carnies and just whatever darkness goes on in there.
Yeah.
But I like the character of Nocturna. Is that what you said?
Nocturna as the character, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. I figured she was gonna have some sort of superpower, just the way that she was drawn. She was reminding me of like Raven from like Teen Titans.
Yeah, a little,
Just
yeah.
like her dark aesthetic, but much darker character than that hero. So yeah, I like that. I don't really have too much more to say other than it was just
Yeah.
a really creepy episode. Bruce Wayne gets fucked up by the bearded lady. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he calls Alfred, and um, yeah, just more moments of. I haven't really been like shouting them out throughout all these episodes, but like all the Bruce Wayne moments, I really really like. I guess you kind of highlighted when whatever episode it was when he's talking to Harvey and kind of switches his voice, but
I think it's
just,
coming up in I think it's coming up. Is it not? Is it? It's one. It's either 8 or 9 because I can't remember if it's when he
when he
takes
has
him
dinner
out.
with him. Yeah,
He takes him out and
Great
he's
idea.
fucked up. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. And it was one of these episodes. I can't remember when he got a flashback. I did because we got, of course, the parent stuff and everything. I did creepily like that. Bruce Wayne, parents dead. He's quiet the whole time, and then he just wakes Alfred up in the
Oh,
middle of
yeah.
fucking midnight. She's like, "I'm gonna make him pay," and Alfred's like, "Who?" He's like, "All of them." And this kid is like ready to fucking destroy every criminal known to Gotham.
and you're
So-
gonna help me. He says,
Yeah.
it's like fuck.
and that's like what you were talking about earlier, where they're still like friendly, but it's much more of a employee, like almost James Bonding, like Q situation versus like, oh, this is my father figure. It feels more like a respectful man that looked up for me. But yeah, these two I'm just gonna put together because we can just talk about Harvey Dent and the last 2 episodes altogether. After Harvey Dent's incident, both Batman and Bruce Wayne must work to stop the DA on his quest for the wrong sort of justice, and Savage Knight, the attempt on Barbara Gordon and Batman to keep Harvey Dent safe until he testifies in court and lead to an all-out war to Gotham heroes and villains. So this is where I like the ending. I like when he became Two-Face, and I don't mind split personality Two-Face that even happens in the 90s series. There's many versions of like, is he a good guy and then turns bad? Is he a guy that's shady and then that pushes him over the edge? Is he a guy that's good and then split personality? Harvey Dent has a lot of routes, and I think they did try to take another route here, but for me the problem was I just didn't like him in the first half of the season being this really like kind of slimy DA sort of guy. I would have just wished they made him shady, and then like I would have liked it more. He's trying to get justice, but he might be going about it in a way that's not clean cut. But even Batman says like, oh well, he at the end of the day he's trying to do good for the city, right? But I just didn't like his interactions with Barbara and Bruce, and I didn't at first when Bruce goes out to dinner with him. I'm like, oh, are they actually friends? I did like because Bruce even admits it in the finale. Super, and because Alfred says like, you shouldn't have done that. And Bruce like, it doesn't matter, I got the job done. When Harvey's had his accident and he just takes him out, he takes him out just to press him for information, not because he cares about him. But before Bruce reveals that, I was like, I just don't want buy why Bruce would care about this guy. And then they revealed they didn't. So I think he just came off as, and even the guy that voiced it just kind of came off as like a bit too cheesy at times in the first half of the season. So I just didn't care for him as much, and I didn't buy. I think I just because it was all about him becoming mayor, and then when he's losing points, it's like, well, I gotta turn to the mob. I just didn't buy the whole. You know what? this is a new type of justice I got to do. Where something like The Dark Knight, it shows this guy trying to do justice, he fails. Fuck it, I'm gonna kill people or do my sense of justice. I just feel like the first half of the show didn't give me that Harvey Dent. It kind of gave him just made him goofy. So that's why I was interested when he was Two-Face what was gonna happen. But it felt like they made him classic Two-Face of, well, you're a criminal, I'm gonna flip the coin. And
Yeah.
so there's things I like and don't like. I did like the finale portion of he's decided he's going to testify. I like that he's slipping in and out. He'll sometimes just get mad at Barbara and almost call her like a bitch and everything. Like, I like that it was kind of there, and I like the idea of we just got to get him from point A to point B. I thought it was a good finale, and Harvey is a good guy that does make a sacrifice, so he has like a redemption arc in a way. So like I said, I think I like the back half of it. Just the beginning, I wasn't a fan of the Harvey character. So that's where I was, but I thought the finale was good, and it was like I think really the melding of Gordon and Batman trusting each other, because he says that like, if you're here for 2 more minutes, I'm gonna have to arrest you, so you better leave. So I think it was finally showing, okay, I can trust this guy. So I think a good ending to the series. Just had some hiccups with Harvey Dent there.
Yeah, I think judging the character as a whole for the show, I did really like it. I think there was some moments that I kind of, slipped the tongue, minor spoiler alert, in the pre-thoughts, but of just him like snapping really quickly, I thought was a little abrupt, but I didn't mind him being like that super kind of slimy asshole mayoral candidate, and almost borderline like, I don't know if threatens the right word, but like almost say like, you should rethink your things, because when I'm in charge, like, we're gonna be running it this way. It seems like he has that type of attitude at early portions of the show. But I did like how kind of before he gets poisoned or face acid, whatever the hell he gets, like before he becomes Two-Face, he is kind of like, he's getting tested on his moral ethics, and I think he is passing in those moments, right? Like, he does actually choose to push charges on the guy that the mob boss wanted to. He wanted Dent to just drop all charges, but he didn't. He like actually did the right thing and like stuck through it. Even when it would have been the previous episode when he's at the carnival and the lady's like wanting him to, or like telling him that she's like looking for the children. He's like, I don't got time for this. He goes
I'm
and
sure
deals.
they'll turn up.
He goes and deals. He goes and deals with the mob boss, but then he comes back and he's like apologizing. He's like, oh really? Like, they're not back? Like, to me, that shows that like there actually is some good guy in there, and I think having the comparison of those two. But like, it also makes sense why he would be a split character, because he, like, for most of the show he was the slimy prick, but like in those moments they at least show that, and then when he gets the acid, he like snaps right away, but then he does the hero sacrifice moment with Barbara. So I think although it wasn't like it, I think I liked how it ended with him, but like maybe just the execution along the way, it wasn't that pristine, but it was still good enough for me that because in the finale when he's handcuffed to Barbara, I really like pretty much all those moments when he's like almost threatening her, that like almost punching her, knocking her out, and she's just like staring at him like, are you really gonna hit me? And he's just like breaking down like, you can't do this. Like, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill you. Like please just leave me alone. But then there's moments that he's like snapping and being like the evil side of Two-Face. So I did like the complexity of him there. I did like how he made the hero sacrifice at the end. I really assumed he was just going to be a straight up like supervillain as soon as he got the acid. So I did like how it wasn't that simple.
Yeah, and I think he kind of, with the way they were doing Dent and Two-Face at the end, he kind of had to die, because he had his like almost full villain episode 9, and then in 10 he was trying to do good. He was still breaking with his personality, but then I think it would just feel redundant of like, okay, he's around in season 2, he breaks out, he's just a villain again. Like, I think maybe I almost would have loved if this was like I guess it's kind of a 3-parter, because I feel like with Nocturne they did try to do, it's like a X-Men 97, like the life death like half an episode thing. So I feel like it's 2.5. So maybe if this is one that I'm excited to, whenever I rewatch this and kind of know the whole story, feel how it goes. But I think I was fine with the death, and I also liked the more realistic type of burn. Just like it's just more of his skin melted. So.
I didn't like the look.
No, you don't. Yeah, lots of people don't. It's a very
creepy.
divisive. Yeah,
it's creepy, and I think that's why I don't like it. Like it is effective, but I think I prefer the more like full burn look.
Yeah.
Like a Tommy Lee. I think honestly, actually, I guess like the Arkham games have a good version as
Yeah,
well.
they do. Yeah.
I feel like I have another animated version of him in my head. Maybe it
Well,
wouldn't be
there's the
animated
blue
series,
one
would it
from the
be?
'90s where his face is like blue for some reason, white
Let's
hair.
see. Is that the animated series?
Yeah, for the '90s. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that one. That's the iconic one
That's
for
the
me
look, yeah.
in my mind.
And
Where
I
it's
could
just
see
it's just
why.
very different. Whereas the other one is just kind of droopy. He looks a little
Yeah.
strokey.
And I could see why they didn't do it for that one because, like, well, some people working on that did that one, so let's change it up a little bit, you know? So I can see why they went for this type of look here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then that was going to be their whole thing where if they got Dent, he was going to give a bunch of cops, city officials. That was linked back to Thorn. That would have been the way to take him down, not save the city, but at least get this big crime boss off that Batman did not complete. But as we said, Dent gets killed, so there goes their number one witness. So again, for me, the two things that get set up where I love the shot of Thorn's on the phone, just shit-eating grannies. Oh yeah, I'm running the streets now, and then through the window, battering comes, just scrapes
What
his
a throw,
cheek.
too.
Yeah, just imagine if he. Imagine if he
Across the
miscalculated and he I killed him, and like they find the batarang in his head. Like I thought this guy was gonna kill her. And then they kind of do an homage to the many Dark Knight, Batman the animated series, because that's a thing where he's standing on the roof and the lightning comes down. But to me, that was a good of. Okay, we've gone a journey of Batman. He's done some crime, but he couldn't, win everything. But it is like, okay, I'm coming for you. Like you're my main goal coming up. So I like that was a good stare down. And then I was wondering, I was like, oh, is that gonna be it? Fades to black, not a complete end credit scene, but then it fades back up. We get a shack. Second, I saw a shack in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, oh, that's my fucking boy in there. And then we hear some kind of cackling going on. We go across the room. And this is where, not a full episode, but this is where it was more, again, Harley Quinn, Clayface, where this is like the Riddler's serial killer Matt Reeves stuff. We get to see all these people tied up in a chair, and they all have variations of their white, and their face are smiling and stuff. And we get this one guy that's laughing, and then he laughs himself to death. And they turn over, and of course, it's the Joker, and he says, perfect. So two things, all three things. One, I'm happy because they're like, yeah, Joker's not on the season. I'm happy like season 2. So yeah, we're gonna get to the Joker, which feels good because like, hey, season 1, here's some different villains. Then 2, we're gonna get at least one episode of the big main bad. I really liked this idea of he's like experimenting with the laughing gas. Like we're seeing him like all these people were like test subjects, and then this guy works like, oh, perfect. And 2, I just like the voice was like a deeper, darker Joker. It wasn't like a high pitched whine, and that's where I think the show needs to go those routes. So this to me, that was like the chills, and I was like, okay, between the Thorn aspect, Joker, I don't care if it is just one episode. I think that's a smart, and I think Joker's a smart way to end it because I think that gets people back for season 2 of like, oh man, you're gonna get Batman and Joker. But it looked like already it's like, okay, this feels like it is gonna be a different version of Joker, more on the scary level. So I loved the kind of just alludes to what we're going to get in season 2, which is confirmed to happen. So I thought was a perfect way to end the show, and I needed more immediately. So
yeah, 100%. As soon as I heard the cackles, I knew it was the big J. But I was very thrown off by, like, I think the look, it's like, okay, that looks, I mean, you don't see the whole body. It's just kind of like the face shot. Or it's not even the full face shot, actually. It's like a little piece of his eyes that you see with a little bit of mouth in there. And,
don't even see the hair.
Yeah, you don't see the hair. That's right. So, like, is this him pre makeup and hair? I don't know
because I think he had the white skin. I think some of the original drawings of the Joker, his hair wasn't that green, so they might kind of go with just like a tinge of green instead of like the full. Which I think would already fit with this world a bit more than just the very, very bright green. So.
Especially judging on like Harley's outfit.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying those two characters are like super combined, at least right now, but just judging on that, I would imagine it'd be kind of a similar aesthetic. But for me, I feel like the biggest takeaway was the voice. Like it just was so different than any Joker that I've heard. And there has been a lot of different versions of the Joker. That kind of like, I don't know what you'd call it, like a Weasley nasally
whiny,
type
high
voice.
pitch, and
Yeah.
nasally. Yeah, the all right, Batman. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be the exact opposite of Batman, right? Where he's always down here, and then Joker is up here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like a Joker that's also down here. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's gonna be fun. So
And like I feel like for me it's scary because
Yeah.
it is just so different. And like, what is this Joker really gonna be all about? So I am really intrigued to get that. Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. And with his experiments too, like I just imagine it's gonna be
yeah.
pretty disturbing.
And
Some
there's a
of the
fun
stuff that he's
detective
up to.
tale too. He'll look in like where the chemicals came from,
Yeah.
seeing victims like that. He may find this shack. So I'm very interested what they do with Joker coming up. So I think it's a great way to go. So
There was one moment I forgot to shout out earlier. Can't remember the episode, but it's when Batman picks up a 6-shooter and shoots at
it's
Flash.
a finale. It's a finale.
Was it
yeah.
the finale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's right after, because he shoots Flash is the one that kills Dent, and I think they
Right.
make it seem
Yeah.
like he's gonna kill him, but he just does the silhouette of him. So
Yeah. That like I don't think I've ever seen Batman use a gun, so it was kind of just weird to have him holding it.
BVS,
And, like,
he's used a gun.
okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That's
remember.
right. He pops
Never
off
forget.
on people.
Yeah.
Maybe the 6-shooter. I've never seen him
Yeah,
just
never-
like hold
no
a 6-shooter
6-shooter,
like
yeah.
that. It was strange because like the way he just picks it up and like walks at him, it's as if he like killed his parents. I'm like, is this the guy? No, that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Flash wouldn't be. He'd be way older if that was actually the case. And then yeah, he just shoots around him. And then he like tosses the
Chucks
gun
that
away
gun,
in
yeah.
like a really dramatic fashion. I think it was just kind of a strange sequence for me on like why he would go through that, because it's not like he like in hindsight, like I don't think he was ever at a moment of like I'm gonna fucking kill this guy because he killed Dent. Like it was strange for me for why he did
Yeah.
that.
I think
there
maybe
was
just
this-
some little PTSD. It's always
yeah.
bouncing
I guess
around in
so.
the brain, you know.
I did like like Alfred points it out when Dent like switches that like he's worried that he's becoming too much the Batman, and like just that struggle that he has. I do like when that's kind of like a pressing thing that Bruce has to deal with. I did like that they highlighted that, but I don't know, like it just it was just weird, I think.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe
That's
I'm
fair.
thinking too much about it, but yeah.
Yeah. Final thoughts on rating, Kirkland.
Final thoughts? Yeah, I thought the show was just damn well near perfect. I think I liked some episodes maybe minorly less, but like I can really only pick like maybe 1 or 2 episodes that I thought were a little bit lesser than the others, and like all of them were just stellar. I love the opening. I love our side characters. I love our Batman. The voice threw me off at first, like the first episode. It's like, okay, this isn't oh my gosh, what's the
Conroy?
iconic? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not Conroy, and just because he's kind of always been that voice,
Yeah.
like it sounds different, but I think this chap did a fantastic job. Like by episode 2, like I was just totally sold on it.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I thought the voice was fantastic. I love this world that we're in, and I really, really, really love Batman with this time period. It's really fitting, and just like even like our actual detectives with their like trench coats and fedoras, like I just such a sucker for like this type of like crime detective like story. So pairing Batman in there, and I love that suit too. Like I feel like that's the suit I had as like a little kid when I like dressed up as Batman
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Halloween. Just like the classic like gray, but it doesn't seem cheesy because it just fits the world so well. And like when he's standing like behind Barbara, when he like sneaks into into like her office, and he's just like the silhouette, like the look is just so goddamn good. I love this style of Batman. It's definitely the more classic style of like the OG stuff, but yeah, no, like 10 out of 10 show. I think this is great. Best, I'd have to think about it. Probably it's up there for best show of the year.
Oh yeah, I
but,
know I'm gonna make that list so I don't forget
yeah.
at the end of the year, like every time I do. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I follow you there at the 10. I think if I looked at just purely critical, maybe I go like a 9.5 because I have some critiques there, some with the animation, but like it's like what I said earlier, just the good stuff is too outweighed by the nitpicks and stuff I have, and this is just a show where it's like, yeah, just do that, keep doing that. Like I said, I think I already said it in the opening or whatnot. Is just if it's in for me like a best of 5 adaptions, that's kind of the ballpark there. Like there's not much more I can say that kind of shows okay, that's what I think of it. So no, this is a show that I'll return to a lot, and it's definitely going to be like a good think fall dark Halloween type of show as well too. Not that it's all Halloween, but just that type of vibe. So yeah, no, I don't know. They haven't said when season 2 is happening, but thank you, Kirkland, for joining me on this one. This was a good one to talk about.
Yeah.
It was a fun watch. I'm glad it wasn't like a, oh man, this was really shitty and they could have done this and stuff. So like
Yeah.
even our critiques are more minor, but yeah, drop in the Discord or wherever. Let us know what you thought about it. And yeah, I'm not sure what the next Batman content will be, but whatever it is, I guess the Penguin in September. So check out that. We'll be back for that. Hopefully we talk as highly about the Penguin as we do this show. So until then, it'll not be boring.
Bye bye.